Nestle is a brand that needs no introduction. I know it, you know it. With 447 factories across 189 countries, they are one of the biggest manufacturers, period. And chances are you probably know how big they are, but maybe not to the fullest extent. Because so much of what you buy, you may not know is actually owned by Nestle. Whether that be ice cream, candy, coffee, frozen food, medicine, pet food, water even. Racking up to the point where currently they own over 2,000 companies. And all of that leads back to this one right here. I even decided to take a trip to a store that everyone shops to, Walmart, just to get an idea of how many products Nestle sells. I went aisle by aisle, and brand by brand, you can bet I found the same logo. There were so many that I can't even end up fitting all the clips I got.
I mean, this one's a no-brainer, but still.
The strangest thing I encountered was that I was looking through some products that I know for a fact are owned by Nestle, but no matter where I looked, I couldn't find their logo. So many people are giving their money to this one corporation, and a lot of them probably don't even know it. And Nestle, they have a very long history, one that they've been trying to scrub away for the longest time because it is not pretty. So walk with me as I take you through the history and many crimes of the Nestle Corporation. Oh yeah, so one more thing, in order to not get sued into the ground, I have to say that this is for entertainment purposes. There's no education in it. None of it happened. It all happened in Fortnite. Please don't sue me. Our story begins in 1867 with a young Swiss man named Henry Nestle. No, I didn't make that up, that's his real name. Who opened the Nestle company and made their main products revolve around milk-based baby foods, specifically formula, with the main ingredients of this formula being dried milk, vegetable oils, and sugar.
For your special baby. More than 50 million babies have been raised on this form of milk.
But over the years, the Nestle company would slowly dip its toes into chocolate-based products. No doubt thanks to Henry Nestle's partner, Daniel Peter, who later became known as the inventor of milk chocolate. Little did they know, however, is that the year prior in 1866, two brothers from Illinois, George and Charles Page, had opened their own company that was based in selling condensed milk. And this company was known as the Anglo-Swiss Condensed Chocolate Company. A little bit of a mouthful, I know. The Anglo-Swiss company actually started selling their own line of milk-based baby foods. The Nestle company wasn't a big fan of that, so in what some may see as retaliation, they started selling their own line of condensed milk, now making these two companies direct rivals. But in the year 1905, these two growing companies finally decided to merge together, becoming the brand you know as the Nestle and Anglo-Swiss Condensed Milk Company. What the fuck? I'm just gonna say Nestle from now on because even though they don't adopt that name until 1977, I'm not gonna say that every single time I mention them. But with this merger and a couple other smaller ones, Nestle already had 20 factories across the US, UK, Germany, and Spain. During the First World War, production pretty much doubled because of the demand but lack of fresh dairy products. So Nestle stepped in with their substitutes like condensed milk. Because unlike fresh milk, condensed milk is long-lasting and it's much easier to transport, so it was perfect for the wartime. So by 1919, Nestle had doubled their factories from 20 to 40, making over 250,000 pounds of condensed milk daily from one factory. Now that's a lot of milk. After the First World War, people were ready to go back to their classic and delicious fresh milk. So while scared to lose profits, they decided to pivot and purchase Switzerland's largest chocolate company, Peter Kohler. And now they've made chocolate manufacturing their second highest priority.
Dad says he can pick his favorite chocolate blindfolded. Was it that one? Nope. Try this one. Yes, that's it. No mistaking it. That's Nestle's chocolate. The smoothest, creamiest chocolate of them all. Try the blindfold test. Prove Nestle's best.
N-E-S-T-L-E-S, Nestle's for the very best chocolate.
This pivot worked. It not only saved the company, but it made it more profitable than ever. But they did make one mistake. In the next decade, they made God's biggest mistake of white chocolate. I don't even know if I'm going to edit that out, I just hate white chocolate. However, when the Second World War came along in the late 30s, Nestle took a big hit. Between 1938 and 1939, their profits plummeted from $20 million annually down to $6. Which I mean, if you see the conversion, they're still making a lot of money, but you get what I mean. But also during this time, Nescafe, one of Nestle's biggest products now, just made its debut and became the staple drink for the US military. Every troop was enjoying his fresh American cup of instant coffee, and this made them a boatload of money. But was that enough for Nestle? No. No, because why put your hand in one cookie jar when you could put your hand in two? And what was that other cookie jar, you may ask? It was the other side. Yeah, Nestle's official website doesn't mention this, wonder why. But yeah, during World War II, Nestle was contracted to feed the German army as well. So well, you can imagine, this guy is hopped up off amphetamines, he was probably enjoying his Nescafe, and maybe a little bit of baby foods too. After World War II is when Nestle decides to get big, and they finally start to become the powerhouse that we know them as. In 1947, they merged with the company Maggi, which was known for their dried soups and seasonings. 1948, they launched Nestea and Nesquik, two of their obviously most successful products.
It's so rich and thick and chocolate that you can't drink it slow. If it's quick, do-do-me-o. That's the saddest sound I know.
1950, they acquired Cross and Blackwell, a condiment sauce company.
British.
1957, they launched their canned ravioli under Maggi, which was a huge success and led them to dive even deeper into the ready-made food market. And you can see that in 1963 when they acquired Findus, a ready-made food company. Same with Libby's in 1971, a canned food company that was primarily with meat and fruits.
Definitely worth singing about.
You like it, like it, like it?
You like Libby's.
Stouffer's in 1973, one of America's most popular frozen food companies. Carnation, Coffee Mate, Chambersy, Kit Kat, Smarties, and many, many more. But they don't stop at food, no. In the 70s, Nestle puts their hand in every market, ranging from mineral water to cosmetics, all the way to pharmaceuticals. But this in turn is what led to Nestle's biggest scandal, I'll say. See, at its core, Nestle's target audience was always the family unit, particularly children. It can be seen from their inception with milk-based baby foods, to Nesquik, to many, many other products.
Ah, Captain Q, join me in a glass of delicious chocolate quick, won't you?
Thank you, Doctor. I could use some energy. Incidentally, one of those torpedoes you fired at me was circling, and you're sunk.
Toodaloo, Captain Q!
Some people will do anything to get rich quick. Toodaloo.
But with this greed to capitalize on every single penny possible, plus becoming an absurdly big corporation, probably is what made the heads of Nestle think they could get away with what they did. And that is what led to what is known as the baby formula incident. This is probably Nestle's biggest chapter of their history that was seemingly left out of their website. Once again, I wonder why. Since the beginning of Nestle, they've always marketed their baby food to be the best and essential to a child's development, to the point that they advertise it to being better than breast milk itself. Even though it's hard to find the exact advertisements that were displayed at the time, here are a few that'll give you a basic idea of what was being shown.
A dream come true after all the months of waiting. Your baby, all yours, so tiny, so helpless, so dependent on you. To feel happy and secure, your baby needs you and the love you give him. To be healthy, he needs the right kind of milk. Pet milk is processed to make it especially suitable for babies. 50 million babies have thrived happily on this form of milk. Doctors know it is safe, easy for babies to digest, and of course fortified with vitamin D, the sunshine vitamin. Naturally, you want the best for your baby.
This kind of marketing became aggressive in the 1970s, particularly at lesser developed nations at the time, where this marketing would discourage breastfeeding as a whole and suggest that health professionals would choose Nestle's formula above every other option. This would go to the extent that Nestle would pay off doctors and medical institutions to just blatantly coerce in this scam and send out salespeople who are obviously not medically qualified to dress up as nurses and trick and sell the formula to unsuspecting mothers. And given how underdeveloped these countries were in an era without the internet and making it seem like medical professionals were promoting this product, I can't blame them for buying into it, because this advertising worked and it made them an absurd amount of money. Now, I don't have to state the obvious in saying that this formula isn't better than breast milk. It never has been. And in case you weren't aware, formula is very, very expensive. So what was the outcome of this, you may ask? Well, Nestle made billions and billions of dollars off preying on these mothers. And because these mothers were uninformed and oversold the benefits of formula, along with the fact that they were already struggling to afford it, what a lot of them did is that they diluted it with water, which is already bad enough because it would cause malnutrition. but what made it worse is that a lot of the time this water was unsanitary. Consequently, it's estimated that thousands, if not millions of infants died in this incident, either due to malnutrition or disease from the water. And from the years 1960 to 2015, it's estimated that Nestle's marketing has caused the death of 10.9 million children.
Would you agree with me that your product should not be used where there is impure water? Yes or no?
We give all the instructions.
Just answer. What is your position?
Of course not, but we cannot cope with that.
So what was the result of all this? Well, less than you would think. On July 4th, 1977, a boycott in the US began against Nestle for their actions and earned them the rightful name of the baby killer. It led to the World Health Organization to implement a set of regulations regarding marketing of milk substitutes, and Nestle eventually adopted that, which led to the end of the boycotts in 1984. Insert 1984 joke. There's been multiple boycotts against Nestle, like the one in 1988, but that's the main one. You get the gist of it. But aside from that, yeah, no criminal charges, just a stern finger wag and a don't do that again. So what's happened with Nestle since then? Well, the 90s were a pretty quiet decade for the corporation. Aside from a couple acquisitions like San Pellegrino and D'Onofrio, it was business as usual.
Chocolate is crunches when it crunches. That's why I love Nestle Crunch. That's why I love Nestle Crunch Crunches.
And the same thing could be said for the early 2000s. Nestle was more profitable than ever. They bought the baby food brand Gerber for $5.5 billion. How they were able to even touch anything baby related after what I just explained to you, I have no idea. But there were two things Nestle did during this time that they tried to sweep under the rug. One is that in 2002, Nestle demanded that Ethiopia pay them back $6 million they owed them while the country was going through an extreme famine. Which is kind of cringe if you ask me, because at this point, $6 million is chump change for Nestle. And the other thing was, child slave labor. See, during the 2000s, Nestle and a bunch of other chocolate companies were accused of using child slave labor to collect their cocoa beans. And if you know anything about chocolate companies now, this is the least surprising thing. So in response, Nestle said that they would have this issue resolved by 2005. Then that got pushed back to 2008. Then 2010. Then 2020. And yeah, it's still ongoing. As recent as 2021, 3 years ago, Nestle was sued by 8 of their supposed former slaves for, and I quote, aiding and abetting the illegal enslavement of thousands of children on cocoa farms in their supply chain. So, that's all pretty bad. I've realized how dark this video has kind of become. It wasn't my intention, just the more I kept looking into it, the more unfortunately got dug up. But aside from all that, things have been a little quieter for the last 15 or so years.
Come on, get into it. 'Cause it feels so good all over.
Let's see, in 2009 there was an E. coli outbreak thanks to their cookie dough that got like 50 people sick, but nobody cares about that. We just want to hear about the more acquisitions. Let's see, they bought Kraft, but only their frozen pizza. Frankly, I didn't even know Kraft made pizza. Pfizer's infant nutrition branch, which once again I may ask, how are they allowed to do this anymore legally? There were actually a lot of medical acquisitions, and instead of labeling them all, which you won't even recognize, I'll just show them right here. See, also during this time, Nestle's CEO came out to say how water as a human right is a little extreme and how it should be privatized. Now, I'm sure he had valid reasons to say that, and it definitely has nothing to do with the fact that since 1984, Nestle's been exploiting California's water supply, pumping out billions of gallons every year for profit off San Bernardino National Forest, even though their license for it expired in 1988. Let's not be silly. And that brings us to the present day, where Nestle's biggest controversy has been polluting, whether that be plastic, waste, or fucking up Pakistan's entire water supply. Back in 2020, one of their milk powder factories in France let out its waste in the waters. It killed approximately 3 metric tons of fish. Holy mackerel. Holy mackerel. That's a fish pun, please laugh. They said by 2025 they'll cut down on all their plastic and make all of their materials recyclable. But given their track record with child slave labor, I'm not going to hold them to it. And finally, for Nestle's most recent controversy, it was known as the sugar scandal. So what happened is that in April of this year, reports came out that Nestle was adding sugar to baby cereals that was being sold in low and middle income countries. But this sugar wasn't being added to cereals that were being sold in Europe, in America. At this point, are you surprised?
What do you think is Nestle's motivation for continuing to do this?
It's basically because they know that babies like the sweet taste. And so they will like the product and they will come back and they will want more. So the main objective is really to increase the sales and get babies and kids hooked on the product from a very small age.
How this company has been allowed to not only stay in the baby market, but grow to the point of owning 20% of the baby formula market as a whole is beyond me. Okay, so what's the moral of our story? I don't know. Try not to buy Nestle products, but at the same time, if you buy anything else, you're also giving money to the 10 other corporations that also own everything and are probably just equally as evil. So yeah, this kind of sucks. Maybe I'll make another video on one of these other evil companies. If you've gotten this far, thank you for watching. I spent a lot of time researching and redoing the script because Jesus Christ, there is so much. If you want to see all the articles I visited, I'll leave a link in the description. Other than that, thank you for watching. I'm out. Peace. See you next time.
Taste the taste of wetness. Take the Nestle plunge. Soak your thirst with Nestle instant tea.
KitKat 장기